Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at Quad Blacephalon. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few days ago, I showed you a Quad Buzzmosa deck list, and I'll pop a link to that video in the description. But it seems like over in Japan, quad decks are actually back. I think before Buzzwole and Pheromosa, the last real quad decks we saw, and if you disagree, comment section, were like Durant or Terrakion back in the day. I'm talking, incidentally, proper quad decks you play only for Pokemon. I know Seismitoad was played as a quad deck by a few people, but really it was things like Slurpuff that made that so much better. So even though people played it as an attacking deck, it was really Seismitoad Slurpuff and Seismitoad Shaman that were the better decks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, quad decks seem to be back with a vengeance, so might I introduce you to Blacephalon. Now, traditionally, since the release of Blacephalon, it has been played with Naganadel. Naganadel accelerates lots of energy onto the field, and then, of course, the best attack for Blacephalon generally is Mind Blown. You lost zone as many fire energy on your side of the field as you like, and you do 50 damage for each energy put in the lost zone in this manner. So you use Naganadel to accelerate energy, you smash with Blacephalon, and you're good and ready to roll. Then, of course, you hope at some point to be able to use Beast Ring. If your opponent has 3 or 4 prizes remaining, you get to search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts. So generally, that was how Blacephalon worked. Accelerate energy with Malamar, hope to hit a couple of Beast Ring, and then smash. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is not possible when you're not playing Naganadel. So how does Quad Blacephalon actually work? Well, in the early turns, turn 1 and 2, we need an alternative, because with the best will in the world, you are not getting many energy on the field in the first turn or 2 if you ain't playing Naganadel. But let's remember at this stage that Blacephalon actually has a couple of really nice attacks for a single fire energy. The first attack for 1 fire energy, Burn and Confusion. And this is really nice. Now, this isn't going to win you the game, but what it is going to do is slow your opponent down. Burn, your opponent takes 2 damage counters and flips a coin. If heads are no longer burned, if tails, they stay burned. And then they take another 2 damage counters after their turn, reflip, and so on and so forth. Whereas Confusion, if your opponent wants to attack, they have to flip a coin. If heads, it's fine. If tails, the attack fails and they have to take 3 damage counters. And like I said, this ain't going to win you the game, but it's going to buy you time in the first couple of turns. And remember, if you can manually attach enough energy to a Blacephalon, it's crazy good. It's just manually attaching takes a bit too long. Now, the other attack here we have, which I also like very much indeed. 1 fire energy, discard one of your prize cards. If it's an energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. This is beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful. What that means is that hopefully you get an extra energy on the field, which, as we mentioned with Blacephalon, is important. But even if you don't, you're still going down to 5 prize cards remaining. That can really help you. Tag Team GX, win the game. This can be awesome. But let's say you want to use that big attack. How does it work? How do quad decks work? And this quad deck works in pretty much the exact same way that the Quad Buzzwole Pheromosa works. Green Search. Green Search is what makes these decks viable. Green Search is a ridiculous new supporter card, which is going to be coming in Unbroken Bonds. Just come out in Full Metal Wool over in Japan. And when I did my top 10 of Full Metal Wool, link in the description, I didn't put it number 1. And the more time goes by, I think the sillier I'm going to feel for not putting it number 1. This card says that you can only play it if you have no Pokemon in play with abilities. If you're literally just playing for Blacephalon, you're definitely not going to have any abilities in play. And then what you do is you search your deck for 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. The thing is, this works well on so many levels. Now, on the one hand, you can search out your B-string, yay! But on the other hand, your opponent has to go down to 4 prizes remaining, unless they can orchestrate a double KO, which potentially possible. Maybe Pikachu and Zekrom tag team GX if they've managed to do 10 damage to a benched one, I don't know, maybe Flying Flip with Tapu Koko early in the game, then yes, they can take 4 prizes in one turn. But unless they can pull off something ridiculous like that, they KO a GX and then, oh look, you've got 4 prizes remaining, which means I can use Green Search to search for 2 B-string and get 4 extra energy out. And that is essentially why this deck is viable. This deck is viable because you can just use Green Search to play B-string and guarantee that you're hitting at least 2 B-string. And bearing in mind you're hitting 2 B-string if you don't already have them in hand. Because there's nothing to stop you using Green Search for 2 B-string a turn earlier. And sure, your opponent can play something like a Judge or a Marshadow to stop you, but the fact of the matter is, if they don't, you can orchestrate having 4 B-string in hand when your opponent goes down to 4 prizes remaining. That means 8 energy on the field, not including the one from your GX attack if you're lucky enough to get it, not including any manual attachments. This is how it works. The single energy attacks are quite fun in the early game, and certainly the GX attack is quite nice for bringing you down to 5 prizes. But make no mistake about it, this works because Green Search gets you your B-string on the perfect turn for it. But if we go and look at the trainer cards here, in terms of energy, you're playing 1 beast energy because you do 30 extra damage, it's great, and then a bunch of fire energy. But what's really good here is that we've got speed and prize cheating. Now, in terms of speed, we see 4 Acrobike. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, 1 in your hand, discard 1. It's your standard kind of speed card. But we also see 4 Judge Whistle. Bearing in mind, we don't play any Judge in this deck. Judge Whistle lets you either draw a card or put a Judge from your discard pile into your hand. Well, this deck plays no Judge, which means that you're playing this just to draw a card. And between 4 Acrobike and 4 Judge Whistle, we've got a fair amount of speed going on. But here's the thing. This deck is consistent as you like. You see, we're also playing 4, that's right, 4 Poker Gear 3.0. Let's look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a supporter card. Really good at going for Green Search, but also really good at grabbing the other card we need to mention. It's Kiawe. You see, I've mentioned these single energy attacks as good in the early game, and they are, but you've also got Kiawe. Attach 4 energy from your deck to one of your Pokemon, your turn ends. Well, if you're just trying to buy time until you're down to 4 prizes remaining, or your opponent is, so that you can play B-String, play Kiawe. That could work. That could really, really work. So between Kiawe and B-String, you should have enough energy. Between Acrobike, Judge Whistle, and Poker Gear 3.0, you should have consistency. I should also mention at this stage, Heat Factory Prism Star lets you discard a card from your hand to fire energy and draw 3 cards. That also helps you with drawing and speed. But we also have Beastbringer here. And Beastbringer is the other thing that can make this deck really good. Now, Beastbringer is a very awkward card. It only works if it is attached to an Ultra Beast, if you have exactly 3 prizes remaining, and if you KO an EX or GX Pokemon. So there's quite a lot going on here. But if you meet all of those requirements, you take an extra prize. That's right. And this is where Kiawe becomes really good. The goal here is extremely simple. Turn 1 Kiawe, turn 2 Beastbringer, and then take a KO for 3 prizes. Bearing in mind, 3 prizes because of a Beastbringer, then your GX attack, and then you're down to 2 prizes remaining, and you can just KO a GX to win the game. Between the GX attack and Beastbringer, you're actually cheating 2 prizes here. And that's what makes this deck good. It is a combination of speed, consistency, and prize cheating. Blacephalon looks like one of those cards which will not work outside of something like Naganadel, but between B-String, and essentially forcing your opponent into it, 1 or 2 Kiawe, and your prize cheating, this is actually going to work. Which is nuts to me, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nuts. But it does. In terms of the other trainer cards, if we flick through them quickly. Now, look at this picture. Obviously, you can see Adventure Bag. I'll give away that Beastbringer is the card behind it. But what are these 3 cards? Feel free to pause the video and have a go. These Japanese decks sometimes are pretty tricky. So, we see 2 copies of Ace Roller. You're playing a quad deck, so it's pretty important to be able to heal where you can. This lets you pick up and heal a Pokemon, especially if you've lost zoned all the energy attached to Blacephalon. There's no problem with picking it up. You don't lose anything here. We've got 1 copy of Lizia because, well, frankly, you need to be able to get your Beast energy and your Heat Factory Prism Star, and Lizia searches for any 2 Prism Star cards. And then we've got 1 Ultra Forest Cart Envoy, which lets you ignore any effects on the defending Pokemon when doing damage, against something like a Dawnwing's Necrozma, for instance, which uses its GX attack and stops you damaging it. Although there's like a million other things here. So that's kind of cool. And that's it. There's no Cynthia or anything like that here. Because remember, you are using Kiawe and greens. Unless you really need something like an Ace Roller or a Lizia, you are using Kiawe and green. They are your cards of choice here. It's why we're playing 4 Pokegear 3.0, 4 Judge Whistle, and 4 Acrobike, so that we can get this rolling. Now, we are playing 2 Adventure Bag. Adventure Bag searches out your tools, like the aforementioned Beastbringer. And honestly, between Adventure Bag and green, you should be able to get your Beastbringer. Reason we play 2 Beastbringer, incidentally, is in case 1 is prized. Because remember, it only works if you've got 6 prizes remaining. So if you've got to wait to take it out your prizes, it's not working. And then the cards we were looking for earlier, 1 copy of Choice Band to do an extra 30 damage. 1 copy of Choice Helmet to reduce damage done by 30 by EXs and GXs. Hence, Adventure Bag can get both of those. And 1 copy of Field Blower to get rid of tools and stadiums. This is a kind of deck which I didn't think would work. And honestly, before Green Search came out and we got Pokegear 3.0, it probably wouldn't have worked. But with those cards, it absolutely does. I am stunned that this works as well as it does. But I'm kind of happy quad decks are back. Yeah, I'd say so. Anyway, enough of my rambling, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you think about this deck in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the most important thing as always. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.